Hey there, welcome to Coffee Solo on this June 4, 2025. It's Wednesday night at 10:30 p.m. I was just thinking, that's right, I don't have to write things down. I have 4 bullet items. I said, I can just ramble a little bit, not to waste your time, but I mean, I don't have to prepare a point I want to make. I'm just going to talk, as is the point of this whole entire program, Coffee Solo. No, I don't mean just randomly blathering, but I have some items. I can talk about them. In a perfect world, there would be some interaction that will come later, I hope, either with this or, well, this isn't really recorded live yet, but at some point it could be, and then Hugo floss eventually. So anyway, yeah, I don't write the show, which I said right up front. This particular audio program is meant to be unscheduled without an agenda of some sort. So today, the title I've selected, and even the title I may select after, but in this case, I have a particular update on the mend. Today's Wednesday night, don't forget. Just random updates, starting with a great progress report, or great progress on the leg injury front. Let me okay. So if you heard my episode from last Tuesday night, was that the 27th? May 27th. You'll recall that in the morning, that Tuesday morning, I took a spill on some steps here where I live. It was quite ugly. I've kind of reflected on it now, and I think I actually was in a mild shock. When you have the expression is sometimes seeing stars. But basically the blood is rushing, your entire circulatory system relaxes. So all the blood rushes down with gravity. So if you're ever in shock or you feel that someone is going into shock, dizzy, flushed, about to fall over. Oh, my air conditioner just came on. I'm going to leave it. If this is annoying, I'm sorry. But it's kind of warm tonight. I normally shut it off, but this being spontaneous. Anyway, so if somebody's going into shock, those are the basic symptoms. So you want to have them lay down, relax, calm down if they're freaking out, raise their feet, legs, so that blood will flow back towards their head, and just give them a moment. Anyway, so when I was injured, when I took that spill on the stairs, I immediately sat. I didn't stand up, but I sat up on the steps. So I was crumpled up. I didn't stand up, but I got up enough to sit on the steps, and my leg was very clearly not doing well. I didn't know how well or how not well, but I think I'm going to turn off the air conditioner. Hang on a second. I'm going to pause for a moment. All right, we're back. It will shut off on its own in a moment. It's funky when I know what's going on, but when you turn it off, it takes a moment before it actually turns off. Strangely, the set point and the current temperature indicated are the same. Why is it on? Good question. Anyway, so I sat on the steps. I wasn't sure how badly my leg was hurt, but I started seeing stars, as they say. That's the blood running away from your eyes, from your head, from your brain. And I felt a little woozy, a little nausea, a little dizzy. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I was in a mild. Now I never lost consciousness. I never tipped over, but I'm pretty sure. And so aside from that, I think based on what has transpired over the last 8 days, I guess, I think the injury was actually a really bad ankle roll. So I think when I missed the step, I probably hit the 4th step, which caught probably with my heel, so that probably forced my toes down. And since I was now falling, I probably went forward. I probably then first touched the landing with maybe the front right part of my foot, and then as I was moving forward, that would bend my ankle. That's probably where I heard the pop. Then I fell forward. I skinned my knee a little tiny bit, a little abrasion, very small, and probably hit the side of my calf, which has bruised, or not visibly bruised, but it probably applied some some impulse energy to my fibula. But I think the real fibula problem came because when I rolled my ankle, I think that moved my fibula out of the ankle joint a little bit, like dislocated a little bit. Oh, there we go. So it just turned off. So I think that's what happened. Quick reminder, I did walk across the street to a urgent care facility, quite literally, I'm going to rough 300 yards from my front door, across the street into the urgent care place. And I said, well, I guess I walked here, so that's probably a good sign. Maybe I don't need to go through the expense and frustration of dealing with a medical facility. So I walked back home. I will say Tuesday night, when I recorded that episode 12 hours later, very painful. Laying in my bed, the first part of the day, leg raised, ice pack, the usual. Getting out of bed and standing up was nightmarish, intensely painful. And I thought I was going to fall over. I have a cane, and so I would use that to balance. I was like, well, I don't want to give in on this. So I would just take it very slowly, but I never stopped moving around. And through the week, my ankle popped a little bit. If I would bend down, I think the tension in the muscles in my calf would pull my ankle. It popped it back into place, I think. So suddenly, ooh, it feels a lot better. And as of today, I have now been walking for longer distances to the mailroom mostly without using the cane. So all the way there. And then on the return, my leg is usually a little bit tired, so I use the cane. So yeah, there you go. That's the basic update. I think steady monotonic improvement over the last 8 days. No real setbacks. Even twisting on my ankle unexpectedly has been reasonable. I get a quick alert. Don't do that. But yeah, so that's that little update. The Genius Lunch, I think I may have talked about this. Probably not. The Genius Lunch is basically actual entrepreneurs meeting up for lunch. It's very complicated. If you've ever been to like a networking event, it's people handing out business cards looking for clients. They're chatting people up in transactional conversations. They're basically just trying to add to their collection of potential, business. Whatever the client service might be, whatever a customer potential might be. I'm in real estate. Are you looking to sell your house? That kind of, those are kind of annoying. So if you have a meetup for entrepreneurs, hey, I'm looking to start a company. Well, if that person's in that mix, like, let me know if you need any accounting services, or let me know if you need any recruiting, or, so people start listing off their business opportunities to this potential new client. It's like sharks swimming around. I'm kind of bummed by that. Like it literally, you're like, do you even care what it is that I'm trying to accomplish? No? Okay. And here in the greater Vegas area, the so-called startup scene is very much about aspirational and nascent entrepreneurs. I have this idea and I'm thinking about starting it. We're kind of thinking we're just getting our ducks in a row. And so they'll hang out at these meetups where people are like, hey, if you're starting a company, I can help you get funding. Hey, if you're starting a company, I can help you with the latest AI amazingness. Hey, if you're starting a company, we can talk about marketing and promoting your... Okay. So that's just a different form of the networking. So I've been telling people we need a second startup scene that is about people that are actually doing stuff. Like, hey, I'm busy. I don't have time to hang out for 8 hours. Yeah, okay, free food, but I don't really have time to hang out for 8 hours and chit chat and get hit on by people looking for new clients and all that. So, I mean business clients. I mean actual business clients. So I know there are people like that because I've talked to them. So I've said second startup scene is for people who are actually doing startups, not thinking about it, not pondering, not thinking about pursuing an idea from 10 years ago, still haven't pulled the trigger, stuff like that. So in the startup scene, you're going to get a lot of, hey, we can help you. And hey, we're going to have a class. And hey, we're going to have a workshop. And the second startup scene, it's like, we're not doing any of that stuff. We're all too busy, but we do need human interaction and some gossip. What's going on? How are things? Who's doing what goes up, what goes down, etc. So the Genius Lunch was actually something that we would do. I didn't organize it back then, but during the downtown project days, which were, had to be around 2014, 2015 for me. I was working at Intel, so I was really just a spectator, but since I was making all these connections out and about in the world, it was interesting. So not truly an entrepreneur, but it fit the tenor. So we would just meet up for lunch. If I was around, if I wasn't around, that's okay. Some people think, oh, I got to go to the next meetup. I gotta be at your meetup to support you. No. So the second startup scene is full of people that are busy. They don't respond to emails. I'm learning that again. They don't want to be bothered. So when I think I've sent out about 10 emails describing the notion. And again, this has already been done here in the greater Vegas area. It already works. It's already very useful. Everybody that used to attend would be like, oh yeah, this was good. It's nice to talk to other people kind of in the same boat. Do we all have to be tech startups? No. I've tried to underscore that too, right? Because if you only talk to people that are doing one particular type of thing, you don't get a sense of what's happening. So I've literally said, if we can get somebody starting a new food truck, they just started, or they've been out for a month, somebody opening a bookstore, somebody writing a new app, somebody doing some biomedical AI research for their company they're starting, like they're doing it. They're starting, so that's not even nascent. Nascent is, I'm thinking about applying this research. Now, we've started a company and we're pursuing the research to get into our business model or whatever, right? There's not going to be a magnifying glass. So if people want to call themselves entrepreneurs and they go, here's what I'm working on, you're like, yeah, okay. But the only reason to really curate this like that is it's so tiring when people are like, well, I haven't actually started it, but it's been an idea I've had. Okay. So you came here for all of us to tell you it's a good idea again. So I'm trying to avoid that. Anyway, so the Genius Lunch, we drew a line in the sand for next Wednesday. Actually, it was supposed to be today, but with my leg injury, I said, I think I'm going to go for next week. And then the two people that have indicated potential interest said, okay, so June 11th. I said, now each of you try to invite 2 more people. So I invite 2, each of you invites 2. That will be 7 people. And that's a good start. And then we'll figure out if 10 is the right number, if 5 is a good minimum, or if 2 is a good minimum, which it is not. And I haven't heard from anybody since. So I'm like, okay, maybe we're just going to put this off for a while until people actually either become interested or respond in some way, or I do my other startup, which is about information awareness, and just make use of the calendar feature and go from there. So very annoying. I always tell people when I was in Silicon Valley in Bandcamp, I moved to Silicon Valley in 1993. And from there until 2001, when everything kind of went south, between 93 and 2001, I said, you can be sitting in a coffee shop in Silicon Valley. Place is full. People got laptops out. People are talking about whatever they're working on with their co-founders, or talking about business deals or whatever. The place could be packed. Starbucks, packed. Wherever it is, packed. And all you'd have to say is, I have an idea. And the whole place would get quiet. Everybody would lean in a little bit. Wait, he said he had an idea. So that's almost true. Like, it wasn't quite that obnoxious, but people actually cared what was going on. Hey, an opportunity, something that would be useful later. Oh, Genius Lunch? That sounds cool. We used to do Thursday night meetups and go out and about Palo Alto, Mountain View, San Jose, sometimes the East Bay. You just have to actually want to participate. And that is not so easy to come by here in the greater Vegas area. So here you say, hey, we're doing this Genius Lunch. Oh, I'm kind of busy. Okay. You never eat. You don't have time to spend an hour. And actually the first location I chose was a coffee shop. So, you can eat there too, but 1 to 2, I think I said 1 to 2:30 for some slack. Coffee shop with snacks. So you can come after lunch if you want. Spend an hour. Hey, how's it going? Oh, what are you working on? Oh, you're doing that. Oh, yeah, I've heard about that. Oh, yeah, I'm doing this. Oh, cool. Yeah. Oh, okay. Got to get back to work. Later. Done. So I don't know what's going to take. What will catch? I don't know. There's nothing in it for me other than the network effect. So yeah, we'll see. Speaking of, we'll see. The big thing that was in our state legislature. Now, there were several big things actually, but the one that was getting some attention was the one that Mark Wahlberg really wants to pass. they call it the film credit bill or something similar to that, but it's basically incentive programs paid to studios. I think Warner and Sony, if I remember correctly. They're building I think it's Howard Hughes something. It's not the Howard Hughes Foundation, but it's something, Howard Hughes related company from the famous Howard Hughes. They're building a studio in the Summerlin area. So that's west, technically in the city of Las Vegas, west side, kind of Midwest side, not historic West Las Vegas. They're going to build this studio. I don't even know how much, but they're supposed to get 140, I think it is, or it didn't happen, so it doesn't matter. But I think it was $140 million in tax credit potential for film production done in the I was going to say in the United States, within the state, may or may not, because this was a state level bill, didn't have to be in Las Vegas. But they have been talking about the Hollywood 2.0 possibilities and 10,000 jobs and all kinds of revenue, and people will want to come to Vegas. 40 million people come here every year. So yeah, they're convinced that this was a thing. Now, just before, by the way, the legislature in the state of Nevada meets every 2 years. No, not twice a year, every 2 years from February to June. So I think I don't know if it was June 2nd at midnight, but Monday they were done. And they won't be back in session for a regular session for 2 years. Well, just under February in 2 years. So 2 years ago, a similar bill did not pass. So Marky Mark is like, we're going to get it. This is going to be the next big thing. And people are going to make movies or make video productions here of some kind. So they'll have all kinds of opportunities for media creation with tax incentives. Oh, we're going to bring our executives. We're going to have an actual base. Presence of real company corporate production. But here's the rub. Various states are doing that. Hollywood is actually kind of dead. California is trying to do tax incentives and other abatements and whatnot to keep people there, keep companies there. So ultimately, Nevada is sort of we don't have income tax, but we also don't have any real base talent pool. I don't want to be insulting, but it's not something that's sort of kind of happening already. And so they're waiting for tax credits. In the meantime, I will say the tech park, the Harry S. Reid Tech Park, where Blackfire Innovation, Co-operate, and some other under construction facilities are for the University of Nevada in Las Vegas. Those are either available. Blackfire's there already. Blackfire does gaming and hospitality innovation, which is appropriate for Vegas, so that's cool. Co-operate is a co-work space. And there are some other things in that building, and then there are some other buildings under construction. One of the buildings is going to be some sort of media studio, media creation, content creation facility or facilities. And so the Senate bill that was much more horizontal included some credit, tax incentives, tax credits, whatever it was, some sort of please build it money that would benefit this resource that's under construction, and various programs not only around media creation, but defense industry focus areas like aerospace, some manufacturing. So there were some education resources. So it was a little bit more broad, but unfortunately, I think it was about a week ago. Yeah, because I think I was standing still long enough to read this after my injury. There was I think it was the GOED, the Governor's Office of Economic Development, sent the two bills to a company called Applied Economics, I think it was. I did a whole podcast episode last Friday about this on Cafe Genius Impresarios. So they sent it out for some consulting review. Hey, we have a bunch of money. Let's pay you to write the things we want to hear. And the things that they said were neither of these bills are sustainable. Neither of them is going to do as well as they claim. The Assembly bill, which was only credits for Sony and Warner, was aimed at Summerlin, was a little bit better, which I found a little unusual. But neither of them passed. And unless there's a special session or some other magic takes place, it will be yet another 2 years. So I don't know what's going to happen with the Summerlin construction project, which I believe is underway. And I think the tech park is going to build their resources either way because it's just part of their their educational resource infrastructure that they're building. The tech park is the tech park. However they can get tax and other incentives for that, great. So yeah, I think the whole Hollywood 2.0 thing is poorly thought out. The Senate bill to me was a little bit more appealing on the surface, but it's hard to say until they finally passed it, and they did not. So much for that. Finally, I don't want to talk too much because I really didn't have too much to talk about tonight. Show don't tell. This is really becoming. I think it's bad news. Now, show don't tell. If you ever watch movies, or if you watch people who critique movies, especially if they're really either very good at it or they're very angry, they will repeat that phrase. Show don't tell. Show don't tell. You shouldn't be doing exposition. You shouldn't have narration. Oh, why did Blade Runner have Harrison Ford doing narration? That killed the whole thing. You should just show it. You don't have to have him reading a script over it. So there is something to be said for being able to show something. Here it works, or here's what it's supposed to mean, or here's what that story is, or here's why this character is important. Because it keeps you in the story. If you start talking to people during, it takes them out of the story. Like, oh, whoa, I'm listening to a presentation now? Okay. And even exposition can be a little tricky because, again, it takes you out of the story. It always makes me laugh whenever people are like, what is it? Yeah, I was trying to think of the Leslie Nielsen joke on the airplane. The Pentagon, what is it? Oh, it's a five-sided building. It's huge. But if the characters in the movie say, I don't understand what that is, or if they do fan service of a sort, which is like, we'll just assume people don't understand what this is, so we will give them that in exposition. So like, oh, what happens if I touch this red button? Well, the red button is attached to the reactor core and we'll drop all the control rods in. So these are movie tropes, right? But what I'm discovering is I don't know if it's an age thing or just an exposure to technology, maybe. In my view, I think they're too quick to learn how to code. I was just talking about this last night. Learn to code in 12 weeks. Learn to code in 8 weeks. Now you don't even have to learn how to code. Just tell Claude or Cursor or Copilot or Llama, DeepSeek, I want an app that will brush my teeth for me or whatever, right? And it will write the code for you and, oh, look, it works. And then when you ask that person, how does it work? They say, I don't know. To me, that's a problem. But we've become so detached from a technical standpoint about we've become detached from how things really work. And if your interest or your job even is to make the thing, you should understand how it works. But now we're getting into I don't even have to understand how it works. I have talked to some of the most talented software people I've ever met. So, sample size being rather small. And they have no idea how computers work. They only know how their code runs on computers. So there was one guy, Damien, last name unknown. This is a long time ago, but I said something like, well, what is it doing on PowerPC versus 68K? It was at Apple. He said, I don't know. I don't know anything about the hardware. And I thought that was odd, just because he was so talented as a software engineer, but no idea. So I'm finding that more and more. So when I'm trying to describe something to someone as a notion, kind of pre-idea, blue sky, green field, like, oh, what if we did this and we make use of RSS feeds and then we use a template and then the pushback I get is like, well, that's not what it's designed for. I'm like, well, that's okay, because it will still work. Yeah, but I've never seen it work like that. Well, because it used to, but now people stopped using this for that. But we can just use it as it used to be used. We already know it works. Yeah, but I don't know. Wouldn't it be easier to just do this other thing? Wouldn't it be easier if I don't have to actually understand things from the old days? I remember one person, I said something like, well, we can just use an email system as the basis for starting this identity confirmation loop. Pretty straightforward. And this person, who was in their mid-20s, said, I don't know, should we really be focusing on email? I mean, why don't we just use the blockchain? So what I'm realizing is that maybe it is the younger crowd, but I think it's anybody who's junior level, whatever that really means, but just haven't been around for a while. You've just finished your school or educational programs or training courses or another session with ChatGPT or whatever it is. So you haven't been around. So when it comes time to collaborate with somebody and tell, oh, you want to work on a project? Okay, well, here's what we're trying to accomplish. They're like, huh? Why would you do that? What? I don't understand. That part's okay. It's okay to not understand, but there's some resistance because you're trying to tell, here's what we're going to do. Here's why we're going to do it. Here's how we're going to do it. Well, why don't you just do this other thing? Why don't you use JavaScript? So I've really come to the conclusion that in cases like this, you just have to show. So instead of saying, hey, do you want to be a part of us getting this started? You have to say, why don't you sit quietly? Because we're building this thing and we'll show you it working. And that's awful. That is profoundly bad. Here's the deal. All of my years, and when I was a kid in band camp at Silicon Valley, I was never near Silicon Valley High School. I think there was one. Sunnyvale High School was down the street from where I used to live, and Homestead High School, I used to drive by that all the time. It was right near where the 24-hour fitness I used to go to. That's where Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak hung out, among other people. But I think there used to be a time when people would, well, I mean, imagine if Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak were talking at Homestead High School and said, hey, I want to build this computer. And Steve Jobs had said, well, why don't we just use an IBM PC? Or I don't know, something dumb like that. The point is, if you're a visionary or if you're entrepreneurial or innovative or entrepreneurially innovative, I think if somebody tells something, especially, I mean, I've been around for more than a few years. So if I'm saying like, hey, we can use this thing that has been around for decades and we can couple it with the new activity pub and decentralized, and we can use RSS feeds and we can embed this other thing and we can use activity streams. And if the first thought is like, those things don't make sense to me, so I'm going to poo-poo them and come up with something dumb, that's just ridiculous. And that's the undoing of an innovation flow. And that's what's leading me to believe that somehow innovation culture may be faltering, and it's certainly weak here in Greater Vegas area. So I just wanted to say that. I think we have room. Do we have runway? I'm not sure, but we won't be sending people to film school. So hopefully you can get to the notion where people say, I've never thought about doing that, so we should try it. Or, hey, I don't know what you're talking about, but you seem to. So I'm going to accept what you're telling me and give it a try and see what happens. But in the meantime, yeah, it really becomes, because the other problem, if you tell someone the plan, I mean, this applies to any movie plot. Okay, we're going to break into the bank, we're going to steal the money, and we're going to leave. Do we leave first or at the end? So if people don't know what you're talking about when you're telling, they may play the telephone game and tell other people. And this also happened to me. Oh, I was telling so-and-so about this thing you're working on, which I'm not helping you with. And so I was describing, and then what follows is something I've not heard. So I said, that's not really how it works. But eventually I just give up because it doesn't matter. Because that person's not helping in any way. They're not participating. They're almost like a marketing person, or a salesperson, even better. I've gone out and I've sold the notion. I don't know what it is, but I've sold it. Okay. So yeah, show, don't tell. You have to basically show, here's how it works. Here, you can play with it. Ask me any questions. But you have to wait until we reach the point where I can show you something. It's a hackathon style sometimes, long weekend or a 5-day sprint or something. Then you reach a point where you can actually touch, play with, like, oh, okay, I see. So if I click here, it does, okay. I didn't get that from when you were telling me about it. Yeah, I know. So yeah, that's just something I wanted to say. I'm sure I'm going to revisit that topic because it's been really maybe frustrating, but I think it's really more telling. And, in your travels, look around. It doesn't have to be tech. But when you're having conversations with people and you're describing something, try calling for customer support. In fact, call Amazon support. That's a nightmare. That's not getting any better. Here's what happened. My package wasn't delivered or whatever, right? That's the usual. But when you wade through the platitudes, can I just send you a picture of what I have here? Because it's garbage. but you have to describe it, or usually they don't even want to waste time. They're just like, no, okay, do you want a credit? Do you want a refund? Well, no, I wanted the thing. That's why I ordered it. If I wanted a refund, I just wouldn't have ordered it. So they're quick to give refunds in some cases, which is frustrating. Because again, you're like, I really wanted the thing. I had I had a package delivered, quote unquote. And here's the deal. So subscribe and save. I don't know if you're familiar with that. You get up to 15% discount on things you order all the time. So I have like 10 items, 15 items in a rotation. So some come every 3 months, every 2 months or so. So, okay. So I get a discount on things I'm going to buy anyway. If the price is good on Amazon and then there's a discount on it and free shipping, how can I complain? I'll tell you how I can complain. If I order 10 things, which was the case for June 1st, and it comes in 2 boxes delivered by the same person, and that person takes one picture and posts it as the delivery image for 2 boxes, 2 packages, and says delivered. I'm like, well, they didn't deliver 5 things. Clearly have you checked around? Have you looked at, asked your neighbors? I'm like, there's a picture. It's the same picture. Can you see it? No idea. They are not helpful in that regard. It took me a long time. Do you just want a refund? No, I wanted those 5 items. That's why I ordered them at a discount. Well, we can't replace the items, so we're just going to give you a refund. I said, don't give me a refund. Give me the items. So then finally I just said, hey, look, I just ordered 5 items, the replacements. So, and I said, now at this point, I've wasted so much time and I really hate Amazon. So I'll tell you what, refund the stolen or missing items, the discounted ones, give me a courtesy credit to cover the 5 items that I now have to purchase at full price. I'm going to click order and they're going to be here tomorrow. Oh no. Yeah. Was that? Well, they did arrive. I have received everything as of yesterday. Yeah, as of yesterday. So I think it was Monday and Tuesday or something. Well, we can't do that. I said, yeah, you can. I know you can. Yeah, but I said, look, I've already spent over an hour with 7 different, not kidding, 7 different tech support idiots, customer support idiots. And I say that because I always got to deal with platitudes. Oh, I'm very sorry. I'm a shopper here too. I totally understand. I'm like, yeah, I've read those exact words from 3 different people. So stop with the copy paste of the platitudes. Just give me a credit and we'll be done. And that did take me. The next day I contacted them again. I said, look, this all happened. I know you're just going to send me to another person. Oh, let me put you in touch with a specialist. Okay, 2 more people. And I just said, look, this order is missing. I replaced all the items because you people refused to, plus ridiculous amounts of time and frustration. So the total replacement items were $86 at full price. The discounted would have been, because there was like a promotional, like first time you subscribe to something. So I think it was more like 75, 70, 72 maybe. So just give me $200 credit and I want to not deal with you guys anymore. And they said, okay. So it can be done. You just have to get the right person. But you can't show people in that scenario. You can't show them anything because can I take a picture and send it to you? They don't really enable that too easily. Sometimes you'll get well, can you take a picture and email it? They'll give you an email address. That's rare. So you're doing all the telling, but no showing. And that's a great example, I think, of where just a little bit of a visual cue, like here are the 2 pictures. They're the same picture. Didn't you see China syndrome? You can't use the same pictures and hide cracks in the plumbing. It just leads to a reactor problem. But that's what the scenario was. So anyway, show don't tell. I'm convinced that people are not understanding. I guess it would be descriptive innovation. Like, here's what we want to do. Aspirational, but I guess I don't know. It's something like that. You can't really tell people what you want to accomplish unless they're engaged, right? Sometimes people will say, I get it. If you talk to somebody who's a visual thinker and you're like, I want to move this couch, and they'll be like, oh yeah, okay, it'll fit better over here, but we have to get it around that curve and we're going to have to so they kind of visualize and they can track in their mind what's going to happen. And then you'll get other people that are like, huh? You'll see when we move the couch. Anyway, I just find it very frustrating. We'll see what happens with a special session here in Greater Vegas and whether they revisit the film credit thing. But I kind of hope they don't, because I think it's flawed, and various news outlets, editorial sections have commented similarly. I think it's problematic. I think the Greater Vegas area could be looking more at manufacturing innovation, especially if we are reshoring manufacturing. The wave of the future. That's another show don't tell scenario, but we don't want to get political today because I just don't feel like it. But anyway, that's where I'm going to leave it for today. Thank you for listening as always, and thanks for checking out my Coffee Solo program in general. Don't forget to check out the other stuff, which is all linked from my buymeacoffee.com/DanHugo profile. And don't forget to buy me an update program exclusively on buymeacoffee.com/DanHugo/posts. Publishes every Monday. A little rundown on the previous week's audio programs and any news and announcements. And I really got to add some more stuff to my Ko-fi, this platform on which you're listening to this, or where you downloaded it, I guess. I really haven't been using it. I've had these two platforms, buymeacoffee.com and Ko-fi.com. I say Ko-fi because it's not spelled like coffee. It's a unique, unusual spelling. But I've had them for years, and I really have not tried to make full use of them. I'm not really trolling for money, but it is useful to be able to have like a consistently available platform that I don't have to maintain. I have to maintain my part of it, but I don't have to like make sure the hosting is working and make sure the site is up and all that. That's managed. So it's a managed engagement tool. I should use more of it. But that's where I'm going to leave it for today. So thanks for listening. Catch you later. I will try to make episodes more and more interesting, not less and less. Cheers.